Sorry, can you tuck in a little?
Somebody gonna go. Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the House Chamber. It's so great to see so much blue. I think we all got the memo today. I would like to introduce all the people up here on the stage. I'm going to start with Secretary Garvin. I have Representative Ozinski, Senator Huxtable, Representative Romer, Senator McBride, Representative Krista Griffith. Well, we all know this guy, the governor, right? Senator Stephanie Hansen, Representative Stephanie T. Bolden, Speaker Schwarzkopf, Representative Heffernan, Representative Sophie, I always say Sophie, Dustin, and Emily. Thank you so much for everybody being here today. This is a great day. I'm sorry that we had to move inside, but I think all of our feet will be nice and dry at the end of the day. So it's exciting to be here today just to announce a truly groundbreaking package of environmental bills that will not only help our state meet its emissions targets, but also position us as a leader in green energy, innovation, and sustainability. As the lowest lying state in the nation, we are in the front lines of a climate crisis. Our communities will feel the brunt of the impacts, from rising sea levels to increasingly common severe weather events like hurricanes and flooding rain. That's why we're taking bold action to protect our state by confronting the challenges head on. We've already made some great strides, from increasing our use of renewable energy, banning single-use plastic bags, setting a limit on dangerous chemicals in our water, and securing more than $50 million for clean water projects throughout the state with our landmark Clean Water Act. Yes, you can clap for that one. But this package of bills, which we have been working on for almost a year now, takes on a commitment to the next level. Together with stakeholders, advocates, the governor, members of his cabinet, our policy team, we've created a bold and comprehensive package that addresses the urgent need for climate action in our state. With these bills, we're building on the Governor Carney's efforts to accelerate Delaware's transition to clean energy and reduce our carbon footprint. We're setting ambitious emission goals and fostering a transition to clean energy. We're creating a more sustainable future for generations to come, and we couldn't be prouder to have three remarkable women leading the charge. Representative Heffernan, yes. Representative Heffernan, with her expertise in environmental science, has been a leader on these issues for decades and has worked to create a healthier state in Delaware. We also have the leadership from the next generation in Representative Sophie Phillips. Despite being in the General Assembly for only a few months, she has already taken on a historic proposal, demonstrating her commitment to addressing the crisis and creating a more sustainable future. And of course, we have Senator Hansen, who has spent her career fighting for our environment. These bills you're going to hear about today represent a significant step forward in addressing the climate crisis, and they are just the beginning. We're going to continue to fight for a greener, sustainable Delaware with legislation from more of our legislators, like Representative Medina Wilson-Anton. I think, there she is. Glad you made it. There is no doubt that we have capable leaders working on this, including fellow bill sponsors, Representative Griffith and Representative Ozinski. and of course, Governor Carney, who you'll hear for in just a minute. I also want, Hey, your hands are going to be tired from clapping so much. I also want to give a shout out to my policy team, John, Alexa, and Sophie, who have worked tirelessly to bring this package together. So where are you? They're always in the background, but they're the ones for the brainchild. The environmental advocates here today, the Nature Society, the Sierra Club, Dustin Thompson, Emily Neal, and the Nature Conservator have been instrumental in bringing this issue to the forefront and getting this package where it is today. But this is just the beginning. We still have a long way to go to get these bills to the governor. I keep bringing him up. He's key to all of this. So we need to keep the momentum going after today and work together to create this brighter future for most sustainable Delaware. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our governor, Governor John Carney.
Thank you very much. It's not often that I get an invitation to join you here in the House chambers, but Madam Majority Leader, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to join you here in the chamber, members of the House and the Senate. You all, I want to start by where Representative Longhurst ended up by thanking all the advocates who are here in this room and those who aren't with us today. Our hands together again for all of you, for the work that you constantly do to help us keep our commitment to the oath of office that we take. And you've heard me say this before, but one of the most important pledges that we make in that oath of office is to respect the right of future generations to share in the rich, historic, and natural heritage of Delaware for future generations. And so this is what we're talking about today, our responsibility to that pledge. Talk is cheap unless we put it into action. And what you're seeing here are those in this chamber and the chamber across the building. They're going to put this commitment into action. I want to thank Secretary Garvin for his work and the work of his team in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control for all the work. I don't think she's here, but Secretary Majeski and her team at the Department of Transportation are as committed, and a big part of this is about the transition to electric vehicles and electric vehicle infrastructure that we're going to install here in our state. So put your hands together for them and their team. As Representative Longhurst said, the threat here in Delaware is real. More than other states, since we're the lowest lying state in the nation, we are experiencing the effects of climate change and sea rise. And all you need to do is go along the bay shore beaches in our state and you'll see what I mean. So what are we going to do? Like I said, talk is cheap. You need a plan. In case you don't know, we have a plan. It's called Delaware's Climate Action Plan. And again, Sean's people put it together. It's got all the steps, all the goals and objectives that we need to pursue. But you need a timetable with that plan. And you need discrete actions to make progress towards the plan. Today, through HB 99, we are announcing a significant and ambitious timetable to reach the elimination of greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. And I want to thank the sponsors of those legislation who are working hard. Representative Sophie Phillips, Representative Heffernan, and Senator Hansen for your leadership. It hasn't been easy, and we're not quite there yet, but we're going to get there. The fact of the matter is, we're all into this together. It's really that simple. It starts with a recognition that climate change and sea rise is an existential threat, and to accept the science that brings us to that conclusion. And so for those who don't accept that, we're not going to make much progress. But our objective is to get everybody in our state, like we do here in Delaware, better than anywhere else, behind this plan and behind the legislation that you're going to hear more about today. So I'm so happy to be here with these leaders and with these members of both bodies to announce these discrete actions that we're going to take to implement this action plan. It's not going to be easy, but we can do it. And I'm just really proud of this team and their effort. And I want to thank Representative Longhurst, the Speaker, and all the leadership here in the House, the leadership here in the Senate, and the member of the Senate who are with us as well. 50% reduction by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Those are ambitious goals, but we can do it. Let's get busy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Governor Carney and Representative Longhurst. Good morning, and thank you for having us here to share with you some really big news. But first, I have to reflect on how surreal this moment is. A year ago, I would have been sitting out there with all of you, fighting for smart, bold environmental policy that would protect Delaware's natural resources and help secure our planet's future. But now, I'm able to be involved in crafting and ultimately passing many of the transformative bills we're announcing this morning. I've gotten a firsthand look at the work that goes into writing strong policies that will address the dangers of climate change head-on. And I've gotten to do it alongside a great partner in Representative Deb Heffernan, a person who has led on many environmental initiatives, both in her professional career as an environmental toxicologist and as a state representative. I'm excited to announce these policies and then get to work passing them into law.
Thank you, Sophie. I'm so happy to work with someone who represents the next generation of environmental leaders in our first state. I'm proud to collaborate with you and work together to bring these bills forward to protect Delaware's future. Last week, we introduced the Delaware Climate Solutions Act, one of the most ambitious efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the country. House Bill 99 will use a whole-of-government approach to aggressively reduce net emissions by 50% by 2030 and by 100% reaching net zero by 2050. This bill will require the state to draft, implement, and regularly update a climate action plan that will serve as a framework to guide state agencies to meet these goals. The Climate Solutions Act will set ambitious but attainable targets that will be key in fighting climate change and sea level rise and protecting our natural resources in the state of Delaware. Not only will these efforts improve our state's environmental health, but reducing these harmful emissions will have a health benefit for residents. We're excited to begin moving this bill forward in just a little bit inside here with the Natural Resource Committee meeting starting at noon. I hope you'll join us.
The Climate Solutions Act sets the targets for Delaware to hit, and the bills we're announcing now are part of the ways we will meet those goals. Representative Krista Griffith and Senator Sarah McBride are sponsoring a bill that will set a goal that all state-owned and operated passenger and light-duty vehicles will be zero emission by 2040. The bill includes targets of 15% by 2026, 25% by 2029, and 50% by 2032. The state of Delaware must lead by example if we're going to be successful. Representative Ed Ozinski and Senator Jack Walsh are leading the charge on a bill that will make clean construction preferences part of the bidding process for public works contracts. This will further demonstrate the state's commitment to being a leader and reducing greenhouse gas emissions by encouraging contractors to implement more sustainable practices in their businesses.
And I'm proud to join with Senator Russ Huxtable on a bill that will make sure businesses are better prepared to utilize renewable energy. Our bill will require new commercial buildings with a foundation footprint of 50,000 square feet or greater to ensure their roof is capable and able to support solar infrastructure. As solar power becomes more economical and attractive, we need to ensure that it's available for our large commercial customers.
Senator McBride and I are introducing two bills that will make electric vehicles more attainable for Delaware residents. One bill will codify an existing clean vehicle rebate program that allows for up to a $2,500 rebate for electric vehicles up to $60,000 in retail price. Another will require DENREC and DELDOT to assess the availability of residential charging stations for electric vehicles and to develop a similar incentive program to improve the EV charging infrastructure throughout our state. These bills together will help families who are on the fence about purchasing an electric vehicle to close that gap in cost to make a more environmentally friendly decision.
These are the first steps of what will be an ongoing effort to reduce harmful emissions and meet the targets set out in the Climate Solutions Act. I'm looking forward to passing these bills and continuing with our next steps. And now I want to turn it over to another leader in the environmental effort to protect Delaware's natural resources and a fighter for our environmental future, Senator Stephanie Hansen.
Thank you. You know, there's a new term out there in medical parlance that I heard recently. It's called eco-anxiety. A lot of shaking of heads, that's right. And there is a whole new medical field of study now called climate psychiatry. I found out about this when I went to the American Psychiatric Association's conference a couple of years ago, and there was a whole there were seminar after seminar about the issues that we're seeing that many of us have seen for so many years, have felt, but it hasn't had a name. Now we know it has a name, it's for real, and there are ways that we can work through it. Feelings of being overwhelmed and distressed about what we're seeing and experiencing as the effects of climate change, not just increasing storms, or sea level rise, rising temperatures and heat-related illnesses, it's as if that's not enough. But now there are new connections to a decrease in food nutritional value as a result of increasing CO2 in the atmosphere, and an increase in mental health disorders like suicide and violent crime, particularly tied to rise in heat. But the antidote to that overwhelming sense of anxiety sometimes is right here today. It's the actions that we're taking here today, and it's the personal actions that you have all taken and been taking in order for us to get here. Taking action, making your voice heard, and seeing actual movement on a legislative and policy level is hugely important. It used to be that you could fit the number of legislators that truly cared about environmental issues in a phone booth. Remember those days when we were all like, what are we going to do? Now look around. Now look around. You see the names of new legislators, new, young, serving legislators on good environmental legislation. It's not one person or two people. It's the whole front of the chamber here. This is huge. This means that we can tackle so many more issues at one time. We don't need one champion of environmental issues. We need a chamber full of champions on environmental issues. And what you see today is just that. So now, we've gotten rid of the phone booth. Now we need a bus, right? An electric bus. Which brings me to the two bills I want to talk to you about today. Speaking of electric buses, as chair of the Senate Environment, Energy, and Transportation Committee, there are two bills in this legislative package that I'm particularly excited to highlight today. The first is House Bill 10, which Representative Heffernan and I are sponsoring. The legislation will lay out a path for the Delaware Department of Education to gradually convert its fleet of 500 school gas-powered buses to electric in the coming years, starting with 5% of the fleet by 2025 and reaching 30% by 2030. As you know, the buses owned by Department of Education make up about 1/3 of all the school buses in the state, which are typically used to supplement the contractor-owned fleets that most school districts rely on. So many of the buses are owned not by the school district themselves or the state themselves, but they're on contract. The districts contract with these other school bus services. But small steps like this, when taken together, can add up quickly to reduce our overall carbon emissions. To that end, the bill also asks the Department of Education to update us every year on their progress and make recommendations for how best to help the contractor-owned fleets used by our local districts to make similar upgrades. Senate Bill 103, sponsored by Senator McBride and Representative Krista Griffith, will help Delaware prepare for the automotive industry's shift to electric vehicles by helping to make sure all new homes built in Delaware are equipped with EV charging capabilities, meaning that they are built with the ability to simply run wiring to charge an EV. Under Senate Bill 103, every new single-family home built in Delaware after January 1st, 2024, would be required to offer at least one electric vehicle-capable parking space, whether that be in a garage, a driveway, or on the street. And starting on January 1st, 2025, every new multifamily residential dwelling built in Delaware, whether that's a townhouse, apartment complex, or condos, will be required to ensure at least 5% of the total parking spaces are electric vehicle-capable parking. At least 9 other states have similar laws on the books, including Maryland, New Jersey, New York, and Senate Bill 103 will make sure that Delaware does not fall behind in the incoming EV revolution. So with that, I would like to turn it over to 2 good friends of mine, other folks that have been working on the front lines of this for a long time. And many of you know, all of you know them, Dustin Thompson from the Sierra Club, Emily Nurl from the Nature Conservancy.
Hello, thank you all for being here. This is amazing. After 2 years of hard work and negotiations with stakeholders across the state, today we are taking concrete steps to help ensure Delaware is doing all that it can to curb the impacts of climate change and to protect our state's most vulnerable citizens from the impacts that we can no longer avoid. Make no mistake, the Climate Change Solutions Act is the most consequential piece of legislation that we have seen in years when it comes to deciding what kind of world we are going to be living to our state's next generation. This is a roadmap that we have been desperately needing. From the very beginning of these conversations around this legislative package, the question we and those of us up here today have been asking is this: what can we do to help every Delawarean, including our children and their children, live in a healthier, cleaner Delaware? This package of legislation helps to answer that question, and it shows that Delaware is ready to lean into this issue, and I think all of us up here hope and believe that Delawareans across the state are ready to lean into it with us. So thank you very much for being with us here today.
Good morning. My name is Emily Nurl, and I'm representing the Nature Conservancy in Delaware. Our 3,000 members are so excited about this proposal. What's interesting is that the Climate Change Solutions Act, as been said today, is a massive leap forward. But what it also does is there is a suite of bills that accompany it to help us really make progress with climate. And there have been discussions over the past year about controversy and climate action. I'd like to share some polling data, bipartisan polling data, that represents Delaware voters across the spectrum about these concepts. 60% of Delawareans support setting greenhouse gas reduction goals. 78% think that we can have a clean, environment and a strong economy. And 7 in 10 support the state taking climate change into account when it's making key decisions. As we celebrate HB 99, there is the package today. And what's interesting is that there's these broad-based things that we're going to do, but also, how do we really tackle climate? You affect what happens with climate. Nonprofits affect what happens with climate. Government, businesses, individuals. Individual choices matter. And so what is so good about this environmental suite of bills is that it empowers businesses and individuals and states and nonprofits to make better choices so we can truly make progress. I'm going to close out. I'm the last person speaking. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to repeat some thank yous. For climate, for HB 99, I need to thank Representative Heffernan, my representative, Sophie, and Senator Hansen for all their wonderful work. I would like to thank Secretary Garvin and his team at DENREC. It has been a long 8 months and multiple conversations with businesses and environmental groups, and they did a very good job of trying to bring it on home. And I need to do one more thank you. I'm going to surprise her with this. Did I surprise you with this? I can't remember. I would like to thank Representative Longhurst. The last big press environmental event I was at was HB 200, the Clean Water Act. But she has taken this suite of bills and shepherded it through the entire process, has worked and worked and worked, and she is a true voice for the environment in Delaware. So please join me in giving everyone up here a round of applause, and let's go fight the good fight, friends. Oh, no. I have known this man for 25 years, if you can believe that. And I had it in my notes and I forgot. When you are the governor, it matters when you show up. That's the nice thing about being the governor. Just showing up makes a difference. And the governor has shown up today to show that he supports HB 99 as well as he supports this suite of bills. So I'm sorry, now I'm going to step back and let's give everybody a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. And now the last words are, let's get her done. Thank you.